my name is Megan. Today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts about the Sew Over It Audrey top. The Audrey top is a knit raglan t-shirt pattern by Sew Over It. It comes with 3 different neckline options, a wide band on sort of a rounded boat neck, a tie, and a bow. The one I'm wearing today is the tie option, and I've made it in cotton lycra or cotton spandex jersey. This is a navy knit jersey from the Fabric Snob. It's a little bit darker than it's appearing on camera. It's got a really nice slub knit texture to it, and I've made the long sleeve version. So today I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my thoughts on this pattern. This is the first Sew Over It pattern I've ever made, so I definitely have some thoughts on sizing, on fit, on the instructions, and overall my thoughts on the Audrey top. So I hope you'll keep watching. So the Sew Over It Audrey top is a raglan sleeve t-shirt, and it's got this really nice sort of 60s style wide neckband. It's almost a boat neck, but not quite. It's just a rounded neckline, reminiscent of something you might have seen on Audrey Hepburn, which is obviously where the top gets its name. When I was looking for a different type of t-shirt pattern to wear at home, but in particular from this part of my body up, framed on a teleconference for Teams or Zoom meetings, I knew that the Audrey top would fit the bill. It has this really cute little detail here, which is optional. If the bow or the knot tie isn't your style, you can leave it off and just have a really nice wide neckband on it. But I thought it was cute. It's feminine. It looked really flattering on all the model photos that I had seen, so I thought I would give it a try. So this is the first version of the top that I made, and as I mentioned, I made it in a cotton spandex. The pattern calls for a knit fabric with a little bit more body, so you don't want to use something like a rayon spandex, something that's too drapey, because it won't hold the shape either for the bow or the knot or the neckband. It would sort of flop over, so you need something a little bit heavier. The pattern suggested sweater knit or cable knit. A ponte would be really nice, but I had this cotton spandex in my stash and I thought it would be perfect to try. This is the first one that I made, and I wasn't quite sure what size I should make. So the Sew Over It patterns, at least the Audrey top, comes in 2 different size blocks. So their straight size block is drafted for a B cup, a sewing B cup, and their plus size block is drafted for a D cup. So when I looked at the measurement charts of the PDF pattern that I bought, it suggested that my bust would fit into the size 18 on the standard size block. So my measurements are 43 at the bust, 37 at the waist, and then between 48.5 and 50 at the hip, depending on the day or, that type of thing. So it can fluctuate a little bit. And I know that typically my upper bust measurement is usually 2 or 3 inches smaller than my full bust measurement. So that's about a B or a C cup for sewing patterns. So when I looked at the measurement charts, the Sew Over It patterns are split into 2 files. So there's the straight size file and the plus size file, and I was straight down the middle. So my bust fit into the size 18 on the straight size file. My waist fit into the size 20 on the straight size file, or sort of between the 18 and 20 straight size. And my hips did not. Whereas my hips fit into the 18-20 on the plus size file, my waist and my bust didn't. And so that was the other frustrating thing, was the patterns are 2 separate files. So for those of us who are sort of like in that middle road, we have to either print both versions and then sort of trace one and then lay it over top to grade up, or just take your best guess. And the sizes overlap. So instead of being, I don't know what the size range, but the top 2 on the straight size are 18-20. The bottom 2 on the plus size are 18-20, but it's drafted for a different cup size. So that was a little bit frustrating because in my notes, I tend to store my traced off patterns in an envelope. And so I'll write Audrey top, Sew Over It, size 18. Am I going to remember that it was 18 straight size or 18 plus size? Probably not, because I have a terrible memory, so at least I'll have this video to look back on. But anyway, I decided that I looked at the finished measurement size, and it suggested that the hip had quite a bit of negative ease throughout. So the size, I think it was the size 18 or the 20, had a 44-inch hip on the finished measurement, and that didn't seem like it was going to be large enough, but I figured, well, it's a stretchy knit fabric, I'll give it a try. So I actually am quite pleased with the fit. So I ended up cutting an 18 on the top to the bust, 18 straight size to the bust, and then I graded it to the 20 at straight size at the waist and the hip. And I made up the top, and then this is the top version that I made, and I completed the whole top and I put it on, and it fit pretty well. So the length of the sleeves was good, the length of the body was good, but I was really not pleased with how the neckband lay. So I'll put in some better photos. I've actually washed this top and put it on dry high heat to see if I could like shrink it down a little bit, and that was effective. But the neckband just like it stood up and it rippled, and I wasn't thrilled. The sizing was pretty good, but I figured, you know, I could use a little bit more room. So what I decided to do was I was going to, I ripped up the side seams of the top to make that adjustment. And I, instead of using the 5/8 seam allowance that the pattern called for, I sewed up the side seam with a 3/8 seam allowance from the bust point down. So that gave me an extra ½ inch on either side of ease, which I feel like fit just perfectly. So I was happy with the fit of the top, the length of the top, the length of the sleeves. I was even happy with the bicep measurement. So if you've watched some of my other videos, that's sort of lately, a lot of my tops are feeling a little bit more snug in the bicep, and you know, I'm a little bit fleshier there than I maybe was about a year ago, but I don't typically do a large bicep adjustment, but maybe I should be looking into that. But for this top, the Audrey top, I didn't feel like I needed it, and so I was quite happy with the fit. But again, as I mentioned, I was really not happy with how the neckband was sitting. So you can kind of see it here, like it stands out from my neck. And it's got a bit of a ripple, and like that indicates to me that the neckband is too long. And I had no idea what to do about how to fix it. So I went onto the Facebook group for the Sew Over It VIP Pattern Club, which I bought a membership for this year in order to get this pattern at a discount. And I posted a photo of my neckband, and I asked whether anybody had had a similar problem. And then I looked on the hashtag on Instagram, so hashtag SOI Audrey top, and it looked like lots of people were having the same problem. So my initial reaction whenever something doesn't fit right or doesn't quite, like there's something wrong, is that I must have screwed it up. Like I must have done something wrong. This must be my error. Maybe I stretched it. Maybe I didn't put the neckband on correctly. Maybe I didn't, you know, account for the seam allowance properly or something. But then I looked and I saw like dozens and dozens of tops that had the same neckband, what I perceived to be an issue. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe that's just how the top is designed. Like I'm not sure that I love it, but maybe that's just the nature of a wide band. Like you're putting a straight neckband on a curved hole, and so it's never gonna lie perfectly flush, but okay. But within minutes, somebody commented on my Facebook post to say that another YouTuber had posted a tutorial about how to address this issue. So I'll link the video below so that you can see it. But Beyond the Pink Door actually posted about a year ago a fix for when you're making this pattern out of cotton jersey or cotton spandex, how to fix the neckband, because it is too big, like it's too long, and to make the adjustment. So she has a much better video with a much better explanation of what I did, but essentially you shorten the neckband by changing the angle of which the neckband pieces come together. And so then they come together in sort of this like a U-shaped long piece that then you sew on, because this does untie fully. So it's just one long piece of neckband, and you're changing the angle and effectively changing the length of the neckband as it sits closer to your neck. So I made another version. I'll go put it on and I'll show you, but this is my navy version. And it, you know, it was a pretty good wearable toile or wearable muslin, like a pretty good first crack at it, I'd say. And I'll go put the other one on. So this is my other Sew Over It Audrey top. This is also made in cotton jersey. This is a cotton knit, cotton lycra spandex, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Stretch cotton jersey with some spandex content that I got from Club Tissues, which is an online and in-person fabric store. They're not in person here in Alberta, they're based in Quebec. But they have a pretty nice online shop, and so sometimes I do check it out to see what they have on for offer. I thought that this was an adorable fabric because the flowers on it look like they're embroidered, and I had seen it on Etsy or on another fabric store site from, I think from the UK or from Europe, and I thought, God, it was beautiful. And then a couple days later I saw it on the Club Tissues website and I was like, jackpot. And it said that it was French terry, and I'm like, oh, perfect. This was back in the fall, and I'm like, perfect. It'll be great for like a really simple crew neck sweatshirt. And it arrived and it was jersey. So I still think it's beautiful. I opted to keep it instead of sending it back for a refund, and we sorted it out anyway, but I'm quite pleased with it. But then it sat on the shelf and I was like, well, it's so pretty to look at, but what am I ever gonna make out of it? Like, I'm not sure that it's necessarily my style. Like, it's beautiful colors that I love, but was it too fussy? I don't know. So I figured it would be pajamas, or maybe eventually I'd make like leggings for my kids or something. But when I saw this pattern and I was looking through the fabric that I owned to figure out what else I had so that I could try out the changes to the neckband, this was on the shelf, and I'm like, yes, that has just the right like twee, springy, retro look to it. And so I paired it with a Tilly and the Buttons Miette skirt, and I'll put some of those photos in. And I thought, you know, I had said in my previous video that I was getting ready to sew for spring, and this is one of the makes that I said I was going to do. And I said I was going to put short sleeves on it, but as you can see, this one is also a long sleeve top because it was snowing, I think, the day that I cut this out, and realistically I spend most of my time with my sleeves hiked up to just below the elbow, so I figured, I don't know, maybe I'll cut it off. We'll see what happens. But anyway, so you can see on this version, this is with the adjusted neckband, it does sit much flatter, and I think after I put this through the wash it will sit, you know, even flatter. It's got a little bit of a ripple, right? Because like I said, you're attaching a straight strip of fabric to a rounded hole. It's never going to lie perfectly flat, and also it's wide, so the wider the neckband, the more you're going to get that little bit of stand up. But I feel like this is much more in line with what I was expecting my end result to be for this top, based on the photos, and all of the models they use always look so cute and chic and retro, and I thought, okay, I want a piece of that. So this one I also made with the tie instead of the bow, and I think the bow is cute, but I think it would have been too much in this floral. It's comfortable. I have kind of, I don't know, as I'm trying to figure out my body, like, are my shoulders sloped? Definitely I have the like round back hunch that we all do, but as I get more and more proficient at making my own clothes, I want to get better at making adjustments to make them fit properly, and I do think, you know, part of that is comparing your body to like a standard fitting model that they use to make patterns and draft them. So I think my shoulders are a little bit narrow. So a raglan top is always, it's never my first choice, to be honest. It's probably my second choice. A dolman sleeve is my last choice. I do like a set-in sleeve, but I think this is pretty flattering for raglan sleeve as far as they go, for all the patterns I've tried. And again, I did the same thing with the fit, so I cut exactly the same size. I did the same thing I did on the navy version, which is I sewed it has a 5/8 seam allowance, so I sewed that seam allowance everywhere until I got to the bust point of the side seam, and then I sewed it at a 3/8 seam allowance to give myself just a little bit more room. And I think this is exactly how I like my knit t-shirts to fit, so I'm really happy with it that way. The navy t-shirt that I had on, I thought about taking the neckband off, recut. I have enough fabric, I could cut a new neckband and attach a new one. But I top stitched that neckband on before I tried it on, and I top stitched it using a triple stretch stitch. And if you've ever tried to rip that out, I'm just not sure that I or the fabric would survive that process. So I think I might just wear it and love it and let it be. And again, like, I've put it through the wash now, and it seems to be, you know, it's not as, doesn't stand out quite as badly as I thought it did. Plus I have long hair, so if I'm wearing my hair down, you really can't see it anyway, but it is comfortable, and I do really like the fabric, so I think I will pick up some more of that when I'm back to buying fabric, when I've sewn up all the fabric that I own. Anyway, I thought that the Sew Over It patterns, this was the first one I'd ever made. I was really pleased with it. I was quite concerned that the fit of the t-shirt would be too small in the bicep. I thought that, like, I knew that even their instructions say that their patterns have less ease than a lot of sewing patterns for more of a modern fit, and I was concerned that I wouldn't fit into the pattern, that I might have to make some more adjustments or grade up. But I was really pleased with it, and so I think I definitely will make another one of these. I have a red, sort of a ruby red, just another cotton jersey kicking around that I think I'll make. I will try to make a short sleeve. I think that this would be super cute on like a cap sleeve or a shell, like this neck detail. I'm just not sure how to go about doing that with a raglan sleeve, so I might poke around or see if anyone has any hacks, but I do think it's cute. I also think this would be really cute. I've seen lots of people add like a gathered skirt to it to make a dress, and that would be adorable, so I might give that a go. I thought that the instructions were very thorough. The instructions they have illustrations instead of photos, which a lot of the time I actually prefer because you can see what's going on, versus sometimes in photos you can't exactly see what they're intending for you to do based on fabric choice and lighting and thread colors and all of those things. But the instructions were good. I do recommend reading them. I finish like front to end. You should always read them in full before you start your project, just to make sure you've got it all straight in your head about how they want you to do things. Try your top on before you top stitch the neckband. Don't be like me, just make sure you're happy with it, because it's a lot easier to just take the neckband off, make an adjustment if you need to, put the neckband back on, and when you're ready, top stitch it. I finished both of these t-shirts on my cover stitch, which felt like a big accomplishment to me. This one I did top stitch the neckband with the cover stitch as well, and I was pretty pleased with that. I thought it actually turned out quite nicely. And then I did the hems, the sleeve hems, and the hem of the t-shirt with the cover stitch, and I used that variegated thread because I didn't want to change it in the looper. So you can see it's just a cute, no one's ever going to see it, but I'm going to see it, and I know it's there, and I think it's cute. I don't think my cover stitch technique is quite perfect, so I haven't trimmed down the edges of the hem, and I didn't catch it exactly perfect in a lot of places, but I'm just learning. My cover stitch does kind of intimidate me, but I am going to get better at it, and there's a learning curve with anything new, right? So to expect that you're just going to sit down at the machine and know how to use it the first time, maybe you get lucky, and maybe you have to dedicate some time to doing it. So I am very pleased with my Audrey top. I think it's cute for Zoom calls. I think it will be cute when we get to go back out into the real world for picnics and sitting at the pub and going to work or whatever. I think that I will definitely look for some lighter weight sweatshirting or French terry with a good amount of stretch to make a sweatshirt version, and I think that would be really, really cute with a little tie. Definitely something either in like a polka dot maybe, or a leopard print would be really sassy. I think that would be really cute. I'm very pleased with my Audrey top. I worked out for me what size I need to make. I was frustrated by the fact that there's the 2 different size files and that I was straight down the middle, and I kind of had to use my better judgment. I think that I would recommend fitting this top using your bust and then sort out the rest, because it's easy enough to grade up. Anyway, if you have any comments for me, please share them down below. If you've tried the Audrey top pattern and you had better luck with your neckbands than I did on my first shot, let me know. I will put the link to the tutorial from Beyond the Pink Door in the description box as well, so that you can check that out. It was so helpful. I'm really grateful that existed, to the commenter on the Facebook page who pointed it out, and also to Beyond the Pink Door for producing that video. I went from feeling pretty to feeling really pleased, so that's always such a good feeling. Anyway, I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you soon.